Well. I think I'll sit down, which is a rarity for me. This is my classroom. Thought I'd give this a try. It's early in the morning, just got back from my first blood check since my operation, where they removed my prostate because they found cancer in it. There's some videos about it, and another forthcoming, which is like only going to be about it. And I find that I keep putting that video off. It's recorded and everything, but I'm not, I think I'm just putting it off because I don't know why. Because I don't want to deal with it. It's weird because I'm dealing with it. Going to get my blood checked, man, it was my third or fourth time trying to get in there. It was packed, but packed. And I just think of all the laboratories, this is the only one that's open at 7, so granted, it gets a little more business in the morning, but I got there yesterday, got there early, was so excited. There's a secret door, utility door that gives access, so there were like 10 people in front of me, so I couldn't get my blood drawn. I was like 3 people away, but it was getting too late, had to come back to class. And all the while I was thinking, what's more important, my health, right? Taking care of this or teaching? And I know the right answer, I think, is my health, but I love teaching, and then my kids were a little sour. I'm like, I came back for this, for your I don't care attitude. Anyway, got it drawn today. It's emotional for me. It's my first round, and obviously we're all hoping that all the numbers are the way they should be, where they should be. But it's scary, it's scary. And that's why I said with the editing that I need to do for the videos, it's 2 of them, it's long. It'll be part 1, part 2, just about my cancer and the surgery and the process. It's not that I don't want to deal with it, because I'm dealing with it. I deal with it every day. I deal with it. When I say I deal with it, I mean I think about it probably a little too much, and I work on that. I work on just knowing that it's there, whatever it is, right? Did they get all the cells? Are they floating around? Is it completely clean, like the pathologist said? I don't know. And by the way, speaking of doctors and what they said, my doctor, who was amazing, is amazing. I was still groggy coming out of surgery and just sort of waking up from the anesthesia, and it was late. It was supposed to be earlier. That's a whole nother story. I think I talk about it in the prostate video. But anyway, it was like 11:30. The surgery took longer, and I just remember the room, it was empty except for me and a couple nurses, but it was huge. It was just kind of where they wheel in the people after their surgery. And so I'm coming out of the anesthesia, still somewhat high, I guess, and I remember seeing my doctor like floating in front of me. I'm like, God dang, he's amazing. Like, not only can he do surgery, but he can float. Look at that. And I said, Doctor, how'd it go? And he said, it was perfect. And I wanted to hear it again, like say it again. And I said, what do you mean? Like, how did it go? And he said, Jonathan, it went perfect. It went perfectly. It was exactly the way I imagined it. Everything inside was just beautiful. Everything was where it should be. And I said, wait. Do you mind if you repeat that again? He said, what? I said, you said my insides are beautiful. He's like, your insides are beautiful. Like, it was perfect. I said, I'm done. Like, that's the compliment literally of a lifetime. We like to say metaphorically, right? Inside there's such a good soul. Like, no, he saw inside me. I mean, in 4K with laparoscopic arms and magnifiers and tweezers and who knows what he had, but He saw inside and he said I was beautiful. So that is the best compliment I could ever receive. That being said, yeah, everything looked good. Everything looked great. And the pathology report came back. Everything looked great. Everything was contained. Everything was clean. So all indicators are that everything should be great, but you just want that, you want it to be consistent, right? And so this is the first blood test that I've given where they'll verify, they'll test my PSA, and it should just be 0 because I don't have a prostate anymore. So there should be no more, nothing on the radar. So that's what we're hoping for, expecting. But it's nerve-wracking. I mean, I'll be honest. It's nerve-wracking. You know, the brain likes playing games and narratives. I've talked in other episodes where, you know, our imagination is so strong, and the narratives that it creates are so vivid, so real. I mean, so tangible, that thus we are prone to believe them. And so we really have to be careful, you know, what we tell ourselves, what we allow ourselves to create and believe. So I just wanted to capture this on video. I don't know if I'll have time to do another episode. My commitment is 1 per week, and so I guess this will be the one, because I have some things coming up, and time is getting kind of squeezed, or I think that's not how it works. I think time is just like an open funnel is how I always see it, and it doesn't change. I mean, that's the beauty of it, right? It literally, you can see it on a clock. It ticks, you know, just in such a measured, rhythmic, static way that it doesn't change, right? We adjust. We either feel that things flew by, or that, oh my God, this is taking a million hours. So as I'm packing things into my life right now, it's feeling like there's a time crunch, right? But time is just doing its thing. So it's just a management and a harmonization of all the things on my checklist to do, obligations, all the balls that are in the air that I'm juggling. But it's fine. It's fine. This was a huge one. I can feel the relief. It's physical. It's on my shoulders and my chest. Oops, on my shoulders. It's my new microphone. Very excited about it, by the way. I'm going to take it when I travel. I'm going to take it with me and maybe get in another kind of on the road episode. So that'll be cool. I hope the sound is okay. And the relief is palpable, right? I can feel it. I can feel my kind of old bubbliness coming back to the top. It's funny being in a classroom, and it's funny being in a chair right now, or a stool, because when I taught at a university in Costa Rica, it was a really cool building. We were on the 2nd floor where I taught, and long corridor, and, you know, classrooms on both sides. And the external walls were windows, so a lot of light coming in. Beautiful place to teach, where I was a professor of, it's kind of a hybrid. It was literature, but also in the education department. And so, Poesía para la Enseñanza de Inglés. I was teaching students, and they were all adult women. I was teaching my students how to use poetry as a tool to teach English. A lot of fun. So I got to bridge both literature and education. Awesome course, awesome class. sometimes when I look back on them, I'm like, how the hell did I know what I was doing? Like wild. But that's that was maybe a year and a half after I had first arrived, and within the first week, I I knew that I was going to teach English at like little institutes down there, little language academies, um, and I knew literally day one when they called me in to kind of sub, and I walked in, I started teaching. I was like, oh my God, this is my calling. Like this is oh, the angels, singing from the heavens above. Like, this is what they mean when, I found it. It was my calling. Like, literally, it was my calling. Like, this is what I meant to do. This is what fulfills me. This is my passion. So, anyways, as I sit here, I find it ironic because it reminds me of a story. As I walked down the hallway and then would turn to the left to go to my classroom, the other American that was in the department, she taught at the same time, and she would had an adjacent classroom. She'd turn to the right, and she would put her desk right in the middle of class, move the chair, and she would kind of sit herself down there, and that's how she would teach. And I took courses from her as well, and that's exactly how she taught. That from her desk, just kind of established. And one day we were talking, she said, Jonathan, it's funny because we arrive, at the same time, and I move everything to the center, and I sit down, and I, get on my papers and my lesson plan and blah, 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 and I'm just, okay, I'm ready. And that's where I'm situated. That's where I teach from. You, however, you take the desk and you push it all the way, as far away as you can to the wall. You clear out the whole space, and because the doors are 50% glass, the from halfway up it's all glass and wood on the way down. So she said, so I can see you sometimes, and you use that space like an airport. I mean, just constantly landing and taking off and moving, and I just think, wow, what different teaching styles. And I always remember that, and it's true. I've known no different. Like I wasn't taught how to teach. I just literally did what was natural, and it. I in my classroom. My kids will tell you, it's like suddenly he's right behind you. Like, where'd you come from? I'm constantly moving. I think just because I have a lot of energy and a lot of excitement, and it's not nervous energy per se, but it definitely is energy, and what I have kind of in my mind manifests itself also in my body, and so I move, right, and obviously I gesticulate a lot. The joke I tell my kids is that years ago, for a science project, the hypothesis was if we strapped Mr. Sperling's arms to his side, would he be able to speak? And so I'm telling my kids this, and I said, yeah, they tied my arms lightly, but to my waist, and then gave me kind of a script to read, and I couldn't. Like my mouth was open, but nothing came out of my mouth. Apparently, I cannot talk unless I move my hands. Some believe me. The rest are like, no, I don't think so. Anyway, it's nice to have you in my classroom. I always, I know they have these smart boards, and we used to have them, and they were just a disaster. It was such an investment of so much money. Smartboard was an electronic board on an easel, and you could write with a special marker, and it would kind of digitize it. So I guess there was a lot of convenience to it. And anyways, and now we see them like on the news and stuff when they're, especially during voting and election time, and they're moving things around. So there's a place for them. Definitely a place in teaching, but I mean, I need a lot of board space. I do a lot of speaking, and I try and put most of it on the board so that we're also addressing other learning needs. And I like having vocabulary that comes out of my mouth, right? As I tell my kids, it's time to start growing up, right? And you can't. Your bodies are getting bigger. Your minds and imaginations are growing. So that means your vocabulary has to grow with you. So constantly using big words, and I put them on the board and say, "There's a great word. Here's a fun thing for you."
Great idea. Write that down.
Because I say it so often. That's a cool thing. It's just fun. But anyway, so I use my boards a lot. I in my imagination, I always wish that like I could kind of keep whatever I put on the board, that I could digitize it, kind of keep a copy of it. And I can. I take pictures often, when things really, I have those kind of epiphanies, those great moments uh, where it, I'm trying to teach something and it just comes out just right. I'm like, oh my God, that, right? Bumper sticker. Uh, I take pictures of it, and it does help. So yes, I can use the camera on the phone to digitize what I put on the board, and I guess that's um, the second best option. But if anybody's out there listening and you've got that kind of brain, invent a huge board. I mean, they've got that smart board technology, but something where once you've written it, it could just kind of go onto, they've got that technology where you can handwrite on like iPads, and then it, turns it into a font. And then to be on my computer, it'd be like perfect. So now I can print that out. Now I can, incorporate that in a lesson or a review. So that's another multi-million dollar idea. I've had a few. Anyway, just wanted to touch base. I wanted to kind of capture my energy from the blood test. I was so down and depressed, honestly, and frustrated yesterday because I thought I got in early, and there were another 10 people in front of me. I'm like, oh God, I'm not going to be able to make it. I didn't know who I could call. Could you just cover my class 30 minutes? Um, I don't know. It was just frustrating. I like doing things and getting things done on my time scale, and I get a little impatient, I guess, when things don't go my way. But I'm also pleased enough that I have the skills to recognize that and just be like, Jonathan, it didn't go your way today. Like so adjust tomorrow. Like again, it kind of comes down to it is stoicism. What is in your control? What is in your power? Well, I can't leapfrog these 10 people and have my blood drawn, which would remove a lot of anxiety and nerves and whatnot. I can't. So now what, right? Are you going to call in sick suddenly? Are you going to go back to work, teach the day, and return the next day, but earlier, right? And so that's what I chose to do. Much more doable, right? Much more, but what do I want to say? Like that was the option that left me in control, left me in charge. And it's not to say life is all about being a control freak. No, it's just recognizing what you are able to do and what you're not able to do. What you can make happen, help make happen, and what are out of your, what things are out of your control. And so that just helps clarify the situation, which really just kind of neutralizes the energy, the emotion, especially when it's negative, and it puts you back in the driver's seat. So that's what I did. That's what happened, and it's just one more kind of confirmation of that lesson, to regulate your emotions so that you can pull the energy from your body and wherever the emotions are being excreted and created into the mind, where you can rationalize it you can make cogent thought, and you can create a plan, right? Okay, so that's the situation. This is how I'm going to respond. Remember, it's not what life is throwing at you, because a lot of that, most of that, I'd say, is not in your control. It's how you're going to respond that puts you back in control of your life, which is something that builds your confidence, builds your just identity, builds your core, builds your strength, both inner as well as physical. I know that as I was walking to class this morning, the campus was very empty because it was so early. And I know that I was walking differently, right? I could really feel it. And I was comparing it to how I walked to class yesterday. I just felt defeated. I felt my shoulders were, just kind of hunched over. And as much as I tried to straighten myself, I felt bent. I felt just kind of defeated. And today, just the sun was brighter, the crisp air was crispier. It is, I don't know if it's in the camera, but these are the three words that have been up there since day one in my class. It's the lesson that I teach day one and continue throughout the year. It is well incorporated, well absorbed, well understood, and I think to a certain degree well applied based on my students' readings. This concept, and it is one of my episodes. I did it just attitude, perspective, and purpose. How they work together and being able to align them is such an empowering dynamic for your life. So I'm putting it to practice, and I wanted to kind of capture it on video. So that's my update. We have real wood here. Knock on wood, everything worked out. It's working out the way it should be. So far, so good. I'm feeling much better, and I hope wherever you are, whatever time you see this, that you're doing well as well. Until the next time, take care.